with Tina, the more upset I become because there's a justification. And by the way, this justification is not just on the left. The justification is on the left and on people that say that they support us, like the Mike Johnsons, like the Jim Jordans, like I'm going to go down the line, Lindsey Graham. And then sometimes I see President Trump re-endorse those people, and it scares the hell out of me. Because then I'm like, I know he knows. I know he knows. And getting Tina out, that she's being abused.
Let me just add this, Joe. The work that you and I have done, even over the last month, when they didn't get Tina out, and we'd played nice all the way up to her birthday, and okay, we're working it. We understand there's this difficulty, there's that. Justice Department, and then they completely abandoned. It just was. There's no prayer. You couldn't wait another day. Her health is failing. We went to a different gear, okay, and as was appropriate. No more patty cakes. I'm done with that. It should never have been allowed to get to this point in the first place. It just had to go to another level. And so, I've done 45 shows in the last month. Just about Tina. I pushed everything else off to the side. I don't want to talk, there's financial, there's war, there's Venezuela, there's Japan, Mideast Asia, all sorts of things in other states. As far as I'm concerned, all of it, the pivot point for all of these things is Tina. And by the way, let me just add this one thing. And I know Tina knows this. And so she doesn't want the wrong thing just to get something. She's come this far. We got to complete the course run. In this 5G chess that we're in, just imagine a chessboard where there's 5 boards stacked above each other and below. And the top board and the bottom board are veiled. You can't see the players on them. Yet both chess masters can pop people in and out from their board that's veiled. So Trump has a veiled board. His opponent can't see it, and neither can the rest of us. Our opponents have a veiled board, and we can't see their players, but they can pop in out of nowhere, pop out to nowhere, disappear, and seemingly be gone and pop back up. For the whole world, you're only seeing the 3 main boards. Well, that's complex enough, let alone they got boards where somebody can pop in and out and you didn't even know they existed. In chess is a game of attrition. So it has a limited number of moves. It's not like other stuff where it continues to expand and divide. As players come off the board, there's fewer potential moves. As players come off the board because you're taking out players. That's the whole point of chess. It's a game of attrition. And so you sacrifice players to gain position. But Tina's not a sacrifice. Let me tell you what's going on with Tina. In chess, as you move across the board, if you're a pawn, and remember, the whole game starts with pawns moving across the board. Most of the first initial moves are pawns moving out of the way for pieces behind them. And they get across the board and they get taken. They're sacrificed because it forces the other team to make a move to defend themselves or to move forward aggressively, and they take out pawns in the game. But one interesting thing about a pawn is if the pawn makes it all the way to the other side of the board,
it's kinged.
It becomes a queen with all the power and latitude of movement of the queen, the most powerful piece on the table. You have 2 rooks, you have 2 knights, you have 2 bishops, you got 1 queen, and it's all there to protect the king. In this particular case, if Tina makes it all the way to the other side of the board, which she is going to, she will be the most powerful piece, as powerful as any other piece on the board and more, as the existing queen. She will have all of that power. And now your leverage on the game, increases exponentially. Tina's going to be able to talk not only about election fraud and how to correct it moving forward. She's also going to be able to talk about what has to be done in the prosecution. She's not just going to testify at trials with judges. She's going to be testifying at Gitmo and similar facilities. There's 3 of them in tribunal settings against Americans involved in election crimes against America. Think about that. This is going to a whole nother level. And by the way, even going to your conversation with me here just a minute ago, those people that participated in frauding the election domestically are in fact conspiring with foreign actors. So at a technical level, they are a foreign agent. And it is foreign interference, even if they're domestic and they're here in the country, they've already realigned themselves with foreign agents. And by the way, for people that say, well, I just moved a thumb drive and I knew there was stuff on there, but I did that because I was in on it, but I just moved a thumb drive. I didn't really change anything. I put the cardboard on the windows. Okay. Excuse me. If you're just a getaway driver in a bank robbery, hello, you can also be charged with everything that the guys in the bank did. If there's a murder, if there's a gunshot, you get charged with everything because you're an accessory to that crime.
Correct.
Okay. And they might mitigate some of the sentencing and like that, but they don't have to. And so you're involved in a crime to steal the election. There's a lot of people that thought their activity and actions were nobody's ever going to know. But when they do know, sorry, you were the getaway driver. I didn't know they were robbing the bank. Oh, you when they left with guns. Well, it's a dangerous neighborhood. And when they came back with the bags of money, and you pushed on the gas to get out of there, did you ask any questions? What's the bags of money here? Yeah, come on, man. Give me a break. These people are gonna suffer greatly, and they're gonna be looking. How much are you gonna feel heartfelt? I'm so sad. Poor Jenna. Gosh, she's had a really bad hair day. I feel so bad about Jenna. Right. She feel bad about Tina. Do any of these feel bad about Tina? How's it going to be when Governor Polis's $30 million is now Tina's $30 million? You think that's not going to happen? Tina has a suit against him because here's the thing. This is what I wanted to say to your audience today. There's 1,000 places that we could go to.
Yeah.
We've had papers, stuff that has been, out there presented to the warden and to the Department of Corrections director and like that, putting them on notice that their acts concerning Tina are essentially a violation of law and her civil rights. And
so I have that letter.
Yeah, well, that's the proposed one that is for publication. Let's get there in just a moment. But there's a letter now from John, her local Colorado attorney, that went to, he's written 2 letters now to Department of Corrections and to the warden, CCing Governor Polis, saying that, they're violating Tina's civil rights. By implication, Tina can sue everybody involved, every single last one of them, including the prison guards. See, if the prison guards do something unlawful, unconstitutional, they violate somebody's civil rights, they personally can be sued. And the department, the union might back them up or whatever, but then again, they might not. And if their violation is egregious enough, the government can't represent them. They were outside their contract, their employment agreement. So the danger for all of the guards and people involved in the prison system in Colorado is, especially with publication, they're on notice that they personally are going to get the opportunity to be sued by Tina. it's a notice by publication of a potential violation. Okay, it's called an NOPV, notice of potential violation. So they'll be on notice that they personally can be sued. Their personal property, their personal future pay can be levied when Tina wins. And the government can't protect them. And if the government does want to protect them or says they will, okay, better get a letter. Remember that scene from Clear and Present Danger where Harrison Ford's confronting the guy in the White House about his actions, kind of an Ollie North type of a thing. And the guy says, I have a letter. The president signed this letter. So I was doing it under his direction, his authority. Do you have a letter for the things you did down in Colombia? And if you don't have a letter, then you might be going to jail. Okay. Do these Department of Corrections people have a letter? I would say they need it from their union and they need it from the governor. But I wouldn't, every person there, if I was a prison guard, if I was an administrator, anywhere, including the director of the prisons, I would get an independent, not a government attorney. I'd hire my own attorney for an hour. Here's my situation. Should I get a letter and ask for the union to guarantee that they're going to cover your expenses for legal counsel? Not the guy that just got out of law school last week and it's his first case. Not the government attorney who may or may not know where his ass is, but real counsel that costs real money to defend you for your actions while you had Tina in your custody and she was incarcerated and you had her protection, control, couldn't let her out when the president issued a pardon. Because see, that clock already started ticking. The second that the pardon was signed by Trump, anybody that obstructed the pardon being enforced is now actively holding Tina in violation of her civil rights and a federal pardon, the presidential pardon. Just because Polis says he has the authority to tell his prison guards to do this, and just because the warden says they have that authority, by the way, no court case has ever examined this issue. It's never happened. And the presumption is that the president's stuff is right. And that's where the law starts. So you're going to have to prove that the president was wrong. This is an inversion of that thing with the 6 Democrats that came out, the Gang of Six, saying that you don't have to obey an illegal order. Okay, let's go the opposite way. All of those prison guards don't have to obey an illegal order. Is the order by Governor Polis, is the order by the warden legal that you continue to detain Tina Peters? You've picked a side. You better get a letter saying that if it turns out you were wrong and that they told you something that wasn't true, that they're going to cover your legal expenses and any damages. Because your house, your car, your classic might be on the line. Tina knows I love classic cars, so she might get some classic cars from you guys, trucks and 4-wheel drives, and I'll buy them at auction.
I love classic cars.
Yeah. So, but again, the people need to think in these kinds of terms. If you're in the prison system, you're in a very precarious situation, and you're going to be notified, publicly notified. That's a skeletal copy that's going to be refined all day today and tomorrow. We're going to publish that.
Can we put up the letter? So
Yeah.
let's, if we can, put up the letter from John Case to the warden.
Well, proposed. Put up John Case letter first. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the proposed letter from. Well, this is the one that you put out there. So I took it directly off.
Well, it's not from John. This is a proposed letter for the Ticton team and John Case. This is what my team put together, and I'm offering it to the audience, just like we put out the executive order, proposed version of the executive order.
So
now, there may be people in your audience.
This is the one that you put out on your X. Okay.
Well, we haven't put it out yet. You're the first person to see it outside of my legal advisors. Okay. So we put this.
Can't be the right one then, because this one is I took right off of your deal.
Oh no, that's John Case's one. I think right there.
Let's read John Case's first, and then we'll get the other one.
Okay.
And then we'll read the other one that you actually sent to us. Yes.
Okay.
Well, let me read this. Dear Warden Stansel, on December 5th, 2025, President Donald J. Trump issued a full and unconditional pardon to my client, Tina M. Peters, at approximately 5:55 p.m. on December 12th, 2025. I personally served a copy of the presidential pardon on armed DOC staff at the La Vista Correctional Facility and requested they release Ms. Peters. Instead of releasing Ms. Peters, as required by federal law, DOC personnel stated that they would not comply with President Trump's pardon. Their refusal is categorically unlawful. A presidential pardon is self-executing and immediately terminates all legal authority for continued custody. Your refusal to release Mrs. Peters is not a clerical delay. It is a willful deprivation of liberty under the color of law in direct violation of 18 U.S.C. 242. If more than one DOC employee acts in concert to block her release, it further constitutes a conspiracy to deprive rights under 18 U.S.C. 241. I expect Ms. Peters to be released immediately. If she is not, her attorneys will pursue all available civil and criminal remedies against every state officer and official who knowingly participated in obstructing the enforcement of a presidential pardon. Please provide written confirmation without delay, identifying the precise time Ms. Peters will be released in order to create a plan to safely receive her.
And by the way, John's doing tremendous work. He got kind of sent on a mission the other day to the prison doors because things have to be formalized. There has to be a formal, direct request in order to further tighten the noose, if you will, that it's not just something from the governor's office or the attorney general's office. Those people at the gate put themselves on the line, in the fight, on a side, and I'm just following orders. I was told, okay, were the orders lawful? Okay, how did you check that? That's where, by the way, when you're talking to your attorneys, guys, for the prison employees, when you're talking to the attorneys, mention the Merrill versus crop insurance case. Merrill, MERRIEL, I think. But Merrill versus crop insurance, the judge, the Supreme Court decided that I take it back. It may have been the 10th Circuit right there in your area. But anyway, the court decided that no person engaging in any kind of business or contract with a federal government employee or agent, in other words, contractor, should take what they say at face value. That it's up to the person taking action, the person who has something in peril. In other words, the prison guards and administrative people. It's up to them to determine if what the government employee, agent, officer, etc., if what they have said is the law that they can do or should do, or any promises they make, it's up to the person who is engaging with them in any form of business or contract to determine if they have the authority to do what they say they're going to do. So the way you determine that is, I want a letter. I want a letter from the warden at the prison.
Correct.
Indemnifying me that they're going to protect me because they're totally lawful, and why it's lawful. Not just that they will do it, but on what legal basis are they citing as their authority to do anything which they purport to do. And then second of all, I would also ask that from the Department of Corrections lead, Stencil, who's named here, and then beyond that, I would also ask for the same thing from the governor. I wouldn't trust that any one of them has the authority to do what they've said to do. And if they don't, and you accept it, then you accept the consequences. That's the whole point of crop insurance, Merrill versus crop insurance, is that anybody entering into the contract, they're, the consequences, they're taking it on with full knowledge that they've made a decision that they're going to trust that the government employee, agent, officer, etc., has the authority to say that, to do what they purport, you should do. And if they don't, it's on you. Too bad. So you better get a letter. You better and I'd get it in writing. I wouldn't take it. See, right now, all those people have is somebody's word. They've all been just told, yeah, no, we're fine. Or they got a letter. Okay, so the letter just says he has the authority. Doesn't mean that they're going to indemnify you. Your name on the letter. I want a letter to me personally with my name on it that you're going to protect me, provide legal counsel, and pay any damages that may arise from being in anywhere touching Tina Peters. And then the other thing is that the next step for the legal team is not just John Case, but Peter Tickton as the lead counsel. They will at some point want the logs of everybody working in the prison and what they were doing and where they were at concerning Tina, including the teacher that made all the bullshit statements about her that led to a lot of the recent trauma. But we'll get logs, and then every one of them should understand that they're personally, potentially in violation and liable personally, not just the state. And then every taxpayer in Colorado needs to think about this. If the governor says he's going to indemnify all of the employees against any kind of a legal claim from Tina for anything they've done, that's going to be on the Colorado taxpayers. They're going to have to pay that. Tina's not just going to buy a G6. She's going to buy a whole airline with her winnings. Okay? Because she's going to win. The trial should never have taken place. That's why the judge 41 times blocked actions to show that she was doing what she was doing under federal authority, never let it be part of the trial, never let the jury hear it. Got a conviction through his obstruction of justice.
What's the outcome for people like Matthew Barrett? What's the Judge Matthew Barrett? What's the outcome for people like Dan Rubenstein, who lied and obstructed and covered up the crimes? What's the outcome for the investigator that personally called up Matt, who's the head of the County Clerks and Recorders Association, and they worked together, they conspired together to hide the improprieties? What's the penalty for them?
Well, I think, I don't want to get ahead of what may happen in court, but, those people operated under color of authority, and everybody involved thought they were on the right side of stuff. And yet, then again, did they? No, they were colluding. See, here's part of it that's not even in the public side completely yet. Remember, you had Tor Mars, and she was recording a lot of these conversations taking place behind the scenes between various of the players, the judge, the Secretary of State, other things, their text communications and all that. I believe that's all going to come out. And when it does, if they were colluding in the way that it appears, I think eventually that's going to be determined to have been criminal collusion in order to deprive. They may not be getting out of this with just a fine or a loss of position. They may very well be in the very position that Tina's in because of what they did. So we'll have to see. I mean, I don't want to, state something as a fact before we get there, but I can guarantee you, they got a rough day ahead of them somewhere in here. It's going to be pretty epic. And these will take a decade to play through. Okay. So I don't care. As long as he's free, I don't care if it takes a decade. Let them lose hair over this. Let them, hand wring over this. The way they did to Tina times 10. I think it's appropriate. There's some kind of karma thing that's about to happen. And for all of this audience, It may be slow in coming to this reversal as the pendulum swings back, but the reality is, it is swinging back already. Even with what President Trump's going to do with his um, White House Oval Office talk to the country tomorrow, and every day afterwards, you're going to be seeing things that it's going to be like, oh, finally, finally, finally. Well, even there, it wasn't wrong that the president has taken as long as he has because the issues are so great. There's so much at stake that you don't have the luxury of getting one detail wrong. The whole world is on the line here, and we're adults. Even Tina's situation over the last many weeks, the calls to the White House were trending all Tina with all the things in the world for the last month since we pressed hard on this. Your audiences and dozens of others have been calling the White House, as well as Polis and everybody else. But it was the White House, it was President Trump, even the calls to the Justice Department. The White House, President Trump did what he did unilaterally. He said, okay, carry out of the way. I'm issuing a presidential pardon. I could care less what those, advisors. President Trump, he's got Job's advisors. Remember in the Bible, Job, his
Oh
friends,
yes, I'm very very familiar with the story.
and they're so, well, here's what you do. And then his own wife, okay, Job's wife tells him you should curse God and die. It's that bad, okay? Oh my gosh, talk about advisors, right? So President Trump has horrible advisors. I've said this, horrible. Trump has actually turned to his attorneys in the Oval Office and said to other people, "You're the worst attorneys. Do you see what I got for attorneys? This is the advice they give me." He's literally criticized in front of other people because they give him such lousy advice. So Trump says, "Okay, I've done listening to you guys. Presidential pardon. Write it up. Here's what I wanted to say. Get it done. I want it in a few hours." And he got it done. He didn't even listen to anybody else. So we're here because Trump, uh, you know, done. But it's also because he's on a timeline, and he knows that Tina couldn't quite make it to the finish line without a little bit of support, and so he's not deviating from the main timeline, which is on a schedule regarding the national emergency regarding elections and the date he wants to put that executive order out. That's kind of written in stone, and so he's adjusting stuff with sending in doing the federal inquiry about the conditions in the prison, calling attention to Tina multiple times, talking about Tina now over the last couple of weeks, and but even as important as getting Tina out is, he couldn't blow the larger game or get out of step on the timing, and that's tough to say or hear, but it's just the way it is.
So I know I can see the comments from everybody else, and the thing that they're saying right now is that all of that is great. All that's terrific. You got thousands of people that are involved in this fraud. Thousands.
You know what? Let me just add one little thing. Yeah. Isn't it amazing? They spent during Trump's first term tens and tens of millions of dollars building special port facilities at Gitmo where they can take every single FEMA ship. Remember, within this crowd, a lot of you remember these FEMA ships. We're all going to be put in prison in FEMA ships. They're going to come for all of us, patriots and blah, blah, blah. In fact, oh, by the way, yesterday and the day before, I was with Roseanne Barr, and she's doing a 6-part special. She just started filming yesterday, and it's all about the patriots and having to build underground tunnels, and they're all coming for us. It's a great comedy. Randy Quaid is her boyfriend.
Randy Quaid.
Dennis Quaid, who played Reagan. Randy Quaid is Roseanne's boyfriend in this 6-part series TV show, and she just started filming on that, and it's going to be epic, hysterical. She's such a great friend, but because we're going to make fun of these guys with a lot of what we had to go through. But part of this whole thing is that all the FEMA ships that were built supposedly to help in emergencies, there was the contention and the guillotines and everything else. Are we going to be put on those ships? You know what? In Trump's first term, he had the port facilities around Gitmo built up with concrete piering, sunk deep in the water, so that they can't just survive with the FEMA ships parked at them, a Cat 5. They can survive a Cat 6. They literally sink the boats in place. And they can hold about 25,000 prisoners in there. And each of the ones is kind of specially built for the specific FEMA ships. So if you say thousands, we got a lot of room. We can house 25,000 beyond the main base, and we can still build out a lot of room at the base. So there'll be plenty of room for all of those people that wanted to participate. And there'll be different levels of problems for people that have participated. On the whole, it's going to be tough. There's a lot of people that they don't think we have the documentation of what they did, when they did it, where they were at, whatever. Truckloads.
You know, President Trump said there were truckloads. And my fear is that, and it's not a fear, it's a recognition of things that we've had to deal with before, is that we keep constantly talking about what we have.
But there was a time, I know that. Look, Joe,
I know what I have. I know that what I have is enough.
Yeah, those complaints are not invalid, and I don't want to diminish in any way, shape, or form the audience here who is screaming for justice. The justice is slow in getting here at times. That's painfully true. But even if Tina could take it as long as she had to finally be at this point and do the turn.
Yes.
See, that's why I even mentioned the chess thing. All of your audience who've endured, who've persevered, who've stuck with this in their own lane, Tina's emblematic of a broader movement. That's why I've said, President Trump, you have to save Tina because she's emblematic of the rest of the constituency here. Everybody else, to some degree or another, feels similarly an offense against justice for themselves personally, and they haven't been vindicated. They told the truth. The elections are frauded. They knew it. They worked to get honest elections. They did all sorts of things, and nothing, or inadequate, or the courts, whatever, didn't go through with the cases. But don't let the last period of time taint you against what's about to happen. When President Trump issues the national emergency regarding elections, and then issues the executive order, and then begins, even within the national emergency, one of the key components in doing it as a national emergency is that because the courts are also compromised, appointees in the courts, judges, etc., were put there by people who themselves were not in office legitimately. Okay, so there is a different levels of this offense. As President Trump comes in under a national emergency regarding elections, now he can go out, including with arrests related to this national emergency, suspensions of authority. One of the things that was said just a few months ago, we had a situation where Justice Department was critically in this particular situation. And the word came back from the White House. Don't expect justice from the Justice Department, and don't expect the assistance to come from the Justice Department. And in fact, it didn't. It was another agency that I don't want to say here. And everything pivoted to a whole different way of pursuing justice in this matter. And the people involved, aces. I would not have anticipated it until it happened. It's like, oh my gosh. So it's the same thing here with getting to justice in the elections. Maybe we're not supposed to be looking for justice at the Justice Department and the judges. We are going to see it at Gitmo. And it's not just for Russia stuff. It's the 2020. And as Trump has said, I got a song. 2020, it's not over yet.
Yeah, no, it is not over. But I need to tell you this too. About 45 minutes ago, I got a text message, and it says, "Joe, you were waiting for arrest. Guess what? Look at what's going to happen tomorrow." That was 45 minutes ago. That was 10 minutes before President Trump.
Oh my gosh! Somebody's going to have a really bad hair day. Oh.
Yeah, so there's arrests. I think tomorrow is going to be on the heels of something about to happen at the same time that's happening. I do know that is.
Well, context. Tomorrow is when he's going to do his national address.
Yeah, but you think the national address will address the fact that people are getting arrested?
Well, don't expect the big arrest tomorrow. Again, there's a process here, and it literally happens in waves. So, we want the diners to have a chance to assemble. So we'll knock this down, then we'll knock down. They make a move, we make a move. It's a chess game, but we're in the winning position. They're going to be losing critical players all the way to the end here. From this point forward, is my opinion. I know.
So we still have a problem. We have a problem. Her name is Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche. I mean, those are two very serious problems that we have because they run the DOJ.
Again, I just told you, though, don't expect the resolution to come from the Justice Department. We were told that quite some time back.
Okay, let's say it comes from the military.
Well, it may or may not involve the military first round. But what it does do, there's something else going on that you're not aware of, and I can't say. But it is a process.
I wonder if I know about it. I want, wink twice if same thing.
Well, I mean, I when I went out and did, I had to meet with some of the people out in DC. I don't know, probably 2 months ago, I guess, on something, and I was pretty surprised we were getting their traction in that location, but it was excellent, and it allows for certain operations into Justice Department function, which the rest of the principals over Justice Department have no control over. So just watch. I'm personally pretty comfortable that we're in the right place, including with Tina's situation, because as hard as it's been to get to this exact moment with Tina, instead of still remaining as a pawn in the game, she is going to complete crossing the chessboard. All of this drama over the last, even months, where we've just taken it to a whole nother level, Joe, has forced the situation. National media that didn't want to pay attention to Tina is going to have to pay attention to Tina. They're going to have to acknowledge her, and she will have a role in what's coming. We're going to get her back to full health. She's still got piss and vinegar. She was really fading.
I talked to her last night.
Okay, well, they threw her back into solitary, and that really pissed her off. Well,
kind of. Now she's actually the Al Capone of the Department of Corrections. She's got her own pod.
But she got her own microwave now.
Yeah, she's got it all.
I'm waiting for her to get her own cook.
She walks down the hallway. She's got like Guidos on either side, one in the front, one in the back. That they're all carrying like battle rattle. I mean, she runs the place.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, of course, all those inmates that were being mean to her, that taken aside, now it's like, that one there, she was really mean to me. Yeah, give her a mean, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it appears to me that things are moving in a direction that is good.
Well, let me just say this one thing. I apologize, Joe. Let me just say this one thing.
Yeah.
Go back a few days when she was thrown back into solitary the other day. Right up to that moment where she was put back into solitary, she was fading a lot. Nothing's happening. It's not. I'm just. They're just going to leave me here. Nobody's coming for me. They're going to just wait until I'm dead. And when she got thrown in solitary, her reaction was actually important. She got pissed.
Yeah.
And when you get pissed, sometimes you get that extra thing. In the emergency room, doctors will tell you that they can have a patient come in and all of a sudden they're close to death and they will fight and they will suddenly get strength that nobody knew they could possibly even have in that fight for life in the last seconds. And sometimes that's necessary to break even your own mental chains, if you will. When she got that extra layer of piss and combined with knowing in the next hours just how much we were doing outside and pressing hard, and it wasn't just one person. When she comes out alive and then goes and gets healed and comes back, there is not one person that can claim that they got Tina out. Okay, we have a whole bunch of hosts and everybody like to be able to, uh, strut around. I got Tina free. Even the president doesn't get to it. This has been a community effort. This is all of us that came together. There's no one single group or person that gets to claim credit for freeing Tina. She's going to get free, and she's going to be in a very powerful position because of this community, and it's helped us also to rally together. We're going to get through this issue, and then there's others to come beyond it. But this is such a core issue. You know, at the Battle of the Bulge in World War II, they had to grab groups from all over the front and move them, put them under Patton's authority, Third and Fourth Army, and race up to where the Germans were moving with this new front. If the Germans had succeeded in reaching the ports in Belgium and cutting off the supplies and dividing the British and American troops, they could have extended the war bare ass minimum 3 months and more likely 6 months. And by the time they extended it that 6 months, all of the wonder weapons would be online, and their ability to wage war would have gone up orders and orders of magnitude. So with everything, nuclear, intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine warfare tactics, machines, etc., they were that close to winning the war, and nobody realized it because all they had to do was get to the port in Belgium or even close to it and choke off supplies and divide the American and British troops. And they'd have bought the time needed to win the overall war, because then the other weapons come in. Look at the situation here right now with the vote fraud stuff. They're hoping to delay, and it's why they have to hold Tina to destroy her spirit. They're hoping to just buy enough time that Trump's a lame duck. Nothing's been done. It's all over with. 2026 is held the same way all the elections have been being held, and it's a done deal. They win by default because we took too long to get there. That's why I tell this audience, take a deep breath. Don't give the devil his due at all. Don't give these pundits their moment by speaking that we're not going to get there in time for 2026. Watch what happens in the next days and weeks. Trump is going to issue an executive order concerning how the elections are run. Before he does that, he must have the context of a national emergency. And that national emergency regarding elections, just like we had regarding COVID, gives him the legal basis to go in and say all the existing voter rolls with all these false people on the voter rolls, etc., out. You have to come in, sign up to vote. You're going to do it on a voter registration card. Every clerk at every county in America is also a notary. So they can notarize that. You're going to sign under penalty of perjury that you live where you say you live, that it's inside such and so district, and that you're an American citizen with the right to vote under penalty of perjury. And it's going to be notarized. You're going to have to do it with government issued ID. Clean voter rolls. And a lot of people are going to scream bloody murder. The Democrats are going to absolutely go insane. They're going to scream down. Why? Because they can't win an honest election. All those groups, the Soros groups, and else, and not one machine anywhere in sight. Not one. And when the vote is counted, it's going to be counted by hand by American citizens. Hand count, paper ballot, counted where cast. No transporting them in the trunk of a police car. Oh, it's safe. No magic acts, grandma with their knitting basket showing up in Nevada at the central vote counting center and then put paper over the windows, having to watch from a distance. They're going to be counted in the precincts where they were cast by American citizens, and they're going to report it right there. Tabulation, reporting right there from that precinct, all around the counties, all around the country. They're not going to be able to steal this vote. And that's what Trump's going to order has to happen with this executive order. So national security directive concerning elections, just like he did with COVID. And then specifically the executive order, how are the elections going to be conducted? And the first checkpoint is clean voter rolls, starting from scratch. No more false citizens, no more voting 3 times. Voter registration card that you have to sign, it's notarized. And if any piece of information isn't true and accurate on there, you're going to jail. Harsh penalties. We're going to get an honest election. No mail-in ballots. Hawaii, no mail-in ballots. 19,000 ballots by mail, but there's no envelope, never went through the postal system. We have imaging of all the photos or all the mail that goes through the postal system. Go show us where it went through the mail on that date or any other date. Didn't happen. So how do you get mail-in ballots showing up in the Hawaii account that didn't go through the postal system? It's an impossibility. Now, 19,000 of them just in Hawaii County, let alone all of California. Trump talked about it yesterday, 39 million votes. Do you know that Newsom lost the recall campaign and they frauded it in LA County? Wait till that comes out. And we got it.
Well, I mean, we know that Smartmatic is in LA County, and we know that the election systems in California are largely fraudulent. We could tell that by even the recall election. And that's what I mean when I say that we have fraudulent elections across the entire country and it spans decades.
Yeah.
Juan, do you think
so? We're about to put that to an end decisively. The only way it can happen, you can't put an end to it in the courts. We know that. That's why what I'm telling your audience, Joe, and I'm reinforcing with you. I'm even slowing everybody down. The key, and if you don't get it, then you better everybody scream bloody murder to outer space, but you're going to get it. The national security declaration by President Trump regarding elections is the key to everything. Even the executive order concerning how the elections are run. President Trump had an executive order, it was Executive Order 107, signed on March 25th at 1:07 in the afternoon of 2025. And that 107th executive order directed all the clerks around the country and all the governors, everybody, to clean the voter rolls before the 2026 election, gave them 180 days to do so. You know what happened? Absolutely zero. Nobody cleaned anything, okay?
Right.
Nothing got cleaned. That's why your people are so pissed off, okay? And it was not done in the context of a national emergency, a declared national emergency concerning elections. What gives Trump the authority in a national emergency to bring in the military as needed? All those clerks that stubbed their nose at him, gave him the finger, we're not going to do anything concerning voter rolls. All those politicians that said, we're not going to do that. All those governors said, we're not going to do that. All those AGs said, we're not going to do that. Bullshit. All those secretaries of state said, yeah, right, Trump. Okay. When he declares a national emergency, he becomes, they don't like King. Well, they're about to see what King is. Okay. Because he can bring in the military. If they don't want to agree with it, they can take over any office related to elections that they need to. Take it over. Put anybody else in there. You oppose that, you're part of an insurrectionist act. Okay? See how that fares for you. You want to go to Gitmo by blocking any of that stuff? Because it'll be under a federal emergency. You won't get just charged and go into a federal court. In a state of emergency, you're going to go to a military court. See how that works for you. Watch. You don't believe me? You don't have to. Just watch. Just watch. See if I'm right or not. You can come back. You can come back in 6 months and tell me I was full of shit. Okay, I'm all ready for it. See if I'm right or not. I haven't been wrong. I haven't been wrong in any of the stuff I've said so far. So watch.
Okay, so this is where I start getting into I'm a detail person, right? So I don't think you can solve a problem until you get.
No, it's good. I'm glad. That's why I'm talking to you, not somebody else, because you're knowledgeable enough that we can have an actual for real conversation. So that's why I enjoy being with you, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my issue is that I look at structures. I go, okay, let's hypothetically say it's the government. It's not the DOJ. He files an emergency order. We got President Trump filed for a pardon. You can see the frustration boiling.
He didn't file. He issued a pardon.
He issued a pardon. He issued a pardon. You can see the frustration from President Trump boiling over. You could see it with certain people in his administration.
Yeah. And by the way, when Trump's pissed, you should be a little bit nervous. So far, they haven't actually been bitten. So he's about to start biting. But go ahead.
So he's got a three-headed snake, right? He's got the snake that he has to deal with on the media side. He's got the snake of an election coming up, and he's going to set up these different standards. And the way Tulsi talks about it, I agree with you. There could be some room for error, but there's the problem that I have is that you must have cooperation in certain areas in order to execute on things that you want to do. So even if you put an emergency order out, because he's put out emergency orders. That's why he
called all the generals in. Don't kid yourself. He was making sure everybody knew any of this riffraff bullshit, we're not going to obey an order. He let them know, I am 45, 46, and 47. Who has the biggest gun in the room? Biden never had it. Now you're under military jurisdiction in this continuity and government operation. This challenge between NORAD and SES, which I mentioned before. This is a fight between SES, which came into existence in 78, and NORAD, which came into existence and with their rules in, the portions of exist before, but basically the 54 code. So concerning nuclear weapons and beyond, who's going to have the premier authority? They never handed over nuclear to SES. SES claims authority over nuclear. They never got it. And Trump never gave it up. They were almost there. And by the way, who's doing all these false flags? That's all SES stuff, okay? When you had 9/11, Trump said when he stood there at the buildings, before I'm done, you're going to know exactly who brought these buildings down, okay? Including Building 7, which no airplane hit. Gosh.
Yeah,
and by the way, how long does it take to do a demolition of a 50-story building? How long does it take to do the setup? It's not like a day or a week. Months and months, design, planning, access, everything. That didn't just happen. That was in the makings for a year. Years ultimately with the planning and all that. So again, who had that plan? Who was involved? That's SES, because they believe that they have the right to help orchestrate emergencies in order to move us where we have to go, which is into global compliance. Who are they working with? Who's SES working with? Serco out of England. Soros. Where's Soros come from? He's a total creation figurehead for MI6 and MI5, British intelligence, national and international. He's a creation of them. Why? Because he got black bag money that they didn't have to go to House of Commons to get the money out of somewhere. They got it by frauding the market, just like our CIA got the drug money. So this fight is so much bigger than most people even have a starting place to understand. Trump and the people behind him. Trump said he was invited to run, and he accepted the invite. Who invited him to run?
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know.
Trump has said he was invited to run by 200 generals. That's a matter of record. Trump was invited to run by 200 generals. That goes back, by the way, that whole operation goes all the way back to MacArthur and Eisenhower, when they realized that the Rockefeller and families and other families from around the world were conspiring with the way that the wars were being run with Korea to create a certain situation within this world body to steal authority in the various nations. And they further sealed the deal when President Kennedy was assassinated. And that's when the war was absolutely on. In fact, there was going to be what would have amounted to a coup attempt against Clinton, and the 34 officers on a plane headed for a facility in Georgia. The plane crashed inexplicably, and that was thwarted during the Clinton administration on certain authorities that he was doing unlawfully. It's taken from then till now, almost 30 years now, to reorient, re-express, and that is this operation where the generals invited Trump to run, but it's not a coup. They had to have the legal authority of the commander-in-chief to do all the other stuff that they had to do. And because this fight didn't just start yesterday, so many of the things are in play, including SES, all the stuff from Carter on. Look, they're running false flags. Las Vegas, Sandy Hook, excuse me, that's not resolved. Let's see how that works out. I'm entitled to an opinion. So, I think it's not a finished matter. Alex Jones or not with their little thing. And by the way, look at this little game that was played with Fox News settling with Dominion for $500 million.
I mean, look, I'm currently interviewing attorneys for a defamation case that I'm going to be pushing against everybody. So
I could give you some additional to interview. I got a couple there in Colorado.
Yeah, they want
them. Be good options.
Yeah. So and I have two that have said, Joe, I don't need your money. I'm gonna do this case for you because they're all gonna have to pay. So
yeah.
I feel, a certain part of me feels some vindication for some of the stuff that's come forward, but I also have this trepidation about all the information that didn't come forward.
But again, context. We did not have control of the situation adequately. And as the White House said, justice in this case isn't coming from the Justice Department.
Right.
It's a captured operation. You're not going to get to justice at the Justice Department. It has to come from another place. And it is. But beyond even that, and by the way, Justice Department is a totally captured operation from SES. I can name the players, okay, involved that are taking instruction. Remember every time Cheney had a fake heart attack, what did he say? I'm running the shadow government, and he was. He wasn't kidding. He was telling you the truth, okay? They were doing these operations in the background that you didn't realize were going on. Trump's coming against all that. He's pulled all their money away. By the way, do you know that the prison guards in Colorado and the federal employees union is fussing and very upset and has a lawsuit, I believe, against Trump right now because Trump stopped the money over at USAID money. Now,
Yeah.
why is USAID money, which is supposed to be for foreign aid,
CIA.
it's all CIA money?
All
Why
of
is
it.
it being used to help supplement the salaries of prison guards and to keep enough of them on the payroll? On what basis do you have all these people on the payroll and they're getting money out of USAID? What's going on there? And so they're going to sue because Trump stopped money going to USAID with the Doge thing going into the prison system for more guards. Something's wrong there. But uh, you know, uh, Trump cut off the money supply for a lot of the mischief. And they're still pissed off about it. Trump had to start starving them out. You say that you want to go to war. Okay, sometimes the best way to go to war is first shock and awe, get them to expend a lot of their arms and munitions, let them starve them out for a little while, cut off the supply chains, and then you come in there and do something. Trump's been playing a bit of rope-a-dope here. Okay, when he comes out of his corner, and tomorrow night's probably the first of several, don't expect everything tomorrow night on the table. It's a first shot across the bow that will become more intense and then more intense again. And by the way, this is an announcement of EBS. It's not. We're not even there yet. That's all in the near future. Uh, uh, but first, it comes in stages. Why? Because we're not ready for it yet. I don't want to go to war until these guys are knocked down a few paces. So the timing is everything. And also, we want to be able to pick the point of engagement, not just the time of engagement, but the locations that we engage on. Do I want to engage them in the federal courts, which are a problem, or do I want to engage them at Gitmo? Okay, where the 200 generals have pretty good control. Let me just help you. One little thing. I apologize for being a little bit strong in this, but let me hold the conversation for just 1 second. During the Biden administration, with Nancy prancing around, a couple days after Biden was inaugurated, Nancy proposed that because the president could become feeble and not know where he's at, whatever, exactly what happened, that the nuclear command and control, the suitcase, the briefcase, should be moved to the House, and her as the speaker have that authority. Why was she doing that? Because Biden didn't get it. And she wanted to have the House force that nuclear command would go over to the Speaker of the House. Why? Because Biden didn't get it. They're trying to force the situation. They know what happened there. And by the way, what did Trump do? He's supposed to have the card on him or within arm's reach, and he cannot give it to another soul on planet Earth. He said last summer, they think I was going to give the launch codes to a teenager? Are they crazy? Because they're searching Barron's sock drawer and video files, right? Looking for like Trump would have given it to him. He didn't give it to him. What Trump did when he walked through Cheyenne Mountain is he left the card the only place on planet Earth that it could sit other than on his person or within arm's reach. And that's at the command headquarters at Cheyenne Mountain with the generals running it. And how did he still keep command and control then? Because he memorized the card. Remember early on, after he was out of the office, Biden's president, just a few months after he's out of office, they report that he'd had his medical exam. And in that medical exam said he had perfect memory. That was said for the guys in the mountain. And in the context of another investigation was going on, I won't get bogged down at 45 days after the election. 5-day, all 5 services took testimony on whether or not Biden had won the election and if certain protocols have been met, and they said no, which kept Trump with that authority. But Trump memorized it. And when you heard from the doctors, he's got perfect memory, yeah, because he knows the entire nuclear response code. He had it in his mind. They can go strip search him in New York as many times as they want. They can go tear Mar-a-Lago apart. The card was not in an illegal place. They're not going to be able to charge him with violations for keeping the card with the nuclear codes. It's all in his mind. He memorized it, and they couldn't change. Here's the other thing that people don't understand. When Trump declared a national emergency on the 13th and then went and sealed up Cheyenne Mountain on March 15th, at that moment, no one could change the code, not even SDS could change the original codes on the launch codes. They were locked in place, and nothing Biden or SES could do or Serco could do changed any of that. It's still the same today. So this game is so much bigger than most people realize. Let Trump say what he's going to say tomorrow. Understand it's a first step, but he's making it important by doing it as a national address. He's raising the bar, and then there's probably other stuff which he'll allude to in that coming, which will be the follow-on steps to that, which, by the way, then allow that the arrests that happen related to election fraud don't have to go to the Justice Department. Think about that.
It's a lot. It's a lot to go through. Well, Juan, I gotta jump because I gotta actually go to. I have family in town, which is really.
Oh
good.
my gosh, you have a family. There's people that even want to own you at this point.
Yeah, barely. Barely want to own me
completely.
Yeah. But we have a lot going on with Tina Peters, and there's much more to be had. But at the end of the day, we can anticipate that Tina will get out of jail before Christmas, correct?
I would say that that's absolutely true. President Trump is not dithering. He's on a mission. He's made it excruciatingly clear. The only thing I would add, though, is if I was anywhere in the Colorado prison system, I'd be trying to get some kind of indemnification with your personal name on it, not just members of such and so union. Your name, that you are protected from any of the coming lawsuits, civil and criminal, that may be coming for your actions. See if you can get it. I don't think you're going to get Polis and everybody else to jump in. They might give you some, something that looks like it. You better have legal counsel that's your own legal counsel to advise you and hold the course. And then if you decide that you're not getting it, or in the interim until you do get it, I'd refuse personally to work. And what's the retribution? What's the retaliation? They're gonna retaliate against you for refusing a unlawful order. Whose order is lawful? President Trump with his pardon, or Governor Polis? And you have the responsibility to determine if any agent, officer, employee of any government entity has the authority to promise you anything or guarantee anything or do whatever. You better double check. I'd get legal counsel.
Yeah.
Because you probably don't know yourself, so they know exactly the right questions to ask and how to lock it in, because you're in very precarious neighborhood. Look at Tina. Just last thought, Joe. She was just a county clerk, and here she finds herself in a vice between all these players, all of the British money coming in to force our elections to go a certain way. Yeah, it's British money. Soros and others with their globalist tactics to take control of America. You have one clerk, Tina, just trying to do her job. And her whole life turned on its, end, completely disrupted her in prison. 70 years old, Gold Star mom, never even had a traffic ticket. Gosh, I budget for them. I mean, give me a break. Okay. And so any of these prison officials, any of these guards, you're just a pawn in somebody's bigger game. You better get legal counsel. You better get it right now. And before it's too late, try to lock them in. Get them to promise to cover any expenses you might have defending yourself, or attachments to your personal property because of stuff you did, because they said, no, go ahead and rob the bank. No, seriously, just drive the car. You don't have to be in the bank. Just drive the car. Come on. It's okay. Nobody's gonna know about it. Okay. Not even your mother's gonna know you were involved in this. Yeah. Right. Think about it.
look, I agree with you in a lot of different ways. I want things to move quicker. I want things to move more swiftly. I want to be able to work the problem, and I want to be able to activate and bring other people into the problem as well. Because the more people we have that are rowing in the same direction, the more probable it is that we'll get to an outcome that cannot be stopped by this deep state. So,
you just said something. Okay, barefoot. Okay. So, Governor Polis, you know what his zodiac sign is by his birth date? You know, I never pay attention to this stuff. You know, it doesn't. I don't live my life on this stuff. But it's Taurus, the bull. Okay, what's Trump? He's the Megador taking on the deep state bull. If there's anybody that's emblematic of the deep state bull on planet Earth, it's Polis. Okay, and Polis is on the wrong side, the receiving end of this battle. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Look at this. Deep state, right?
Deep state. Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is one of the blankets that we have. It's one of my favorite things that Jen has on her shop. But I'm just telling you, Polis is emblematic of everything that Trump is going after the deep state. He's the deep state bull. Okay. He is going to lose. He is not going to win this bullfight. And by the way, there you go. There's 2020 Gitmo. You know, those people that think we're wrong, let's go find out.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, brother, I got to go. I got to jump, and I'm going to tell everybody else I got to jump. But Juan, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for giving us
Joe, I appreciate it so much. It's fun to have a conversation with somebody that actually gets it on the details. And go enjoy the family.